Hello, folks. We're back again, and today we're going to do a little. This is not kind of a first impressions, but I feel like we put in the time.
Yeah, we definitely put in the time for this more than a lot of games that we do full reviews of.
So the story with this is, it arrived Friday, and because I'm a YouTuber, I spent all my initial time organizing it for you on camera. So you've got your playthrough, my reboxing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Owen was really excited to play this game.
I wanted to get it, but Sean was already getting. Well, you were already getting it, and I think I was already backing other stuff. And I was like, at this point in the hobby and in my relationship with Sean too, I don't feel like I need to just copy and get the same games. If he's gonna fork out the dough for it, then I might as well just reap the benefits on the side.
So normally with a game like this, I'd probably sit on my shelf for about a week or so while I read the rule book or try to find some how to plays. Mm-hmm. There's only one how to play, and it's a tabletop simulator.
Yeah,
which isn't bad. It's not bad to show, but
it's not. It's not great. I'll just say it's not. I'm not disparate, but it's just because it's a tabletop sim. It's hard to really.
There were some things that were confusing. Yeah. Like in the simulator, they had all the factions out, and I was having trouble telling which ones that they were pulling things from and doing stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I mean, it's great that there's something out there.
Yeah.
But that came out too.
And that was probably prototype phase.
Yeah,
too.
that was completely appropriate for the time. But there needs to be somebody needs to do how to play.
Maybe. Yeah, so
somebody. I don't know, somebody.
I don't know if it'll be me.
Yeah.
This is a fairly complex game. What would you put this in, like a 1 to 10 in complexity?
I mean, it's at least a 4. I'm thinking of the 5. Sorry, I'm thinking of because normally BGG does up to 5. I'm stuck in the BGG ratings.
Well, let's just stick with that. It's 1 to 5.
I would say at least a 4. But we also we're not used to completely learning games on our own. I mean, I usually do a combination of what I'll usually watch a video, then I'll read the rule book halfway through, and then I'll watch the video again, and then maybe I'll go back and read the book if I need to.
Shout out to our video, Best Way to Learn Games.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it was a bit of an effort to get through. It's not an overly, if somebody was sitting here and could teach it to us, they would have it taught to you within a half an hour, or probably quite a bit less. You know, you could probably distill the majority of this game out in 10 minutes.
Oh, really. I feel like,
yeah, about 10.
Or you could get to the point where you're playing in about 10 minutes or so,
and then be able to ask questions to somebody that knows how the game works, and that was. Because for us, it's just one of those things of going back, reading little rules. We haven't really talked about what this game's about either, though.
Oh yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
All right. So let's skip to the overview. So this game, the theme of this game, is we are extracting the last of the Earth's resources before the planet dies, and whoever just pillages the planet the most gets to do it again on the next planet.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Because you're the leader of the next stuff, so I guess this is just going to keep going, all the way through the galaxy.
Yeah, we've completely eaten up the resources on the surface, and we're going into the deeps, and we're doing one last pillaging effort to get us out to the new planet, right? There's some planet, that's the background, that there's some planet we already have designed, ready to go to.
We got the ships ready to go and stuff. We just got to crack the planet open one last time down underwater.
We don't have enough palladium.
Yeah.
We need a little, and some osmium, whatever those are or do. I know gold. I do recognize gold. So those are our 3 resources we're going after, other than kelp. I guess kelp is just, sometimes you need a little kelp.
Yeah. Kelp. I really need somebody.
But yeah, we're just busting through. It's kind of got an RTS kind of feel to it, strategy feel. You're putting buildings out. You've got a few different kinds of buildings that you're placing out, and it really does kind of bring out that I don't know. It really has that RTS kind of feel to it to me. Without the battling, there's no combat in this, but we do get in each other's way. Sometimes we can steal resources a little bit.
And this is a 4X.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
Exploit, expand, exterminate. Well, you don't really exterminate.
No, we don't exterminate. So yeah, it's more of a 3X. Yeah. You get to exterminate the dragon if you care. There's a sea dragon.
You can surround him and scare him away.
That you're dealing with. But otherwise, you're just kind of piecing your way through the deep and gaining resources as you can, and taking those back and getting upgrades for all of your. Well, you've got one board to hold it on your submarine. You've got a submarine little figure. That's your main mover in the beginning of the game, and eventually you can make some more. But they hold all the upgrades for like everything that is going to be on your player area.
So this game's got a bunch of mechanisms. Mm-hmm. We got pick up and deliver.
Yep.
Worker placement, sort of.
Yeah, sort of a worker placement. Action selection. This tech. It's not a tech tree, but like an upgrade system kind of.
Well, it is like with your science, you're moving up the technology track.
Yeah, there's tracks. Yeah.
Oh, and there's upgrades and stuff, so that's kind of tech tree.
Yeah, I think I told Sean. I thought this last time that we played was that it reminded me of a combination of sand with the pick up and deliver, and a little bit not quite as convoluted as sand was for the pick up and deliver, but there's that. And then it reminds me of Eclipse in the sense that you are picking up these unique upgrades that really give you a lot of benefit, can make you asymmetrical from the other player, as well as you have like just your player faction that you're using has its own very, very asymmetrical, at least like with the two that we've been playing against each other with. And then there's sort of Scythe-like a little bit in a sense without the combat, but you're kind of you're going through, you're putting people down, you're having to do a special action to pull the resources off, and you can't continue to keep doing the same actions every time.
Yeah, that's an interesting mechanism too. Everybody's got this hand of 7 cards. Mm-hmm. One card gets put aside until you build your special building. You've got one building that's like your mega structure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you'll get that card later, but you've got the 7 cards. You're gonna on your turn. You're gonna play 2 of them. Mm-hmm. They all have the base. They all have the same basic actions, but the way they're done is slightly different with the asymmetry of the factions.
Right.
So you've got a.
That's the special.
That's your special build. So we got a build, process or, which is a loading dock, science, and extract and move.
Yeah. So you're gonna place these down. You're gonna do 2 actions per turn. Your second action that you do is always your overworked action, and so that means the next round you're not going to be able to do that second action. It's going to go into an overworked section, and you'll have to wait until after your next turn's finished before that card comes back to your hand. Meanwhile, some other card you put down in that second spot is going to go into the overworked section. So you're always losing a card out of your hand, but you're going to get it back.
What's interesting is on at least a couple of your cards, you're encouraged to put it into that second overworked spot, because it's got some kind of special bonus that it does when it's placed there.
Yeah, so. I had a couple of them on my faction. I don't know if Sean had more on his or not, but they play off of a special icon that shows up that's kind of like this powered up ability or whatever. You'll get that from placing buildings as well, and they'll magnify, so some of them will give you like stronger actions as you go. So that was pretty neat. So you've got like 3, I guess like power icons that kind of show up. You've got ways, and then you're pretty limited on how you do that. So you feel very like you're really tuning in to whatever your strategy is as you go. Because you may do something that is like you're giving up a lot of like later game stuff to do something that gives you a big bonus early on. But sometimes you need that big bonus early on to get your economy going. You do have a market that you're dealing with too, so you're taking these goods back that you pick up and you're selling them, and you're moving. The market goes up and down a little bit. and you're really tight in the beginning of the game, and then as you go, it's one of those ones where you start to kind of feel like, what else do I do? Because you got so much stuff going on.
You can occasionally get stuck too.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't plan, you got to really plan almost 2 turns, because you can get stuck without any money, and then not really a way to efficiently do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can always do something, but usually it's so pitiful that you feel bad, because
Yeah.
you really you want to take advantage of every turn that you get.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, does it suck to have a turn where you're basically kind of moving some stuff around and not accomplishing much.
Yeah.
And then your buddy's over there like unloading all the stuff into the dock and making money and
Yeah.
upgrades and stuff.
Getting all the goods. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it just feels like you're falling so far behind.
Yeah. The upgrade mechanism is really cool in the game. The fact that you can add, you've got limited spots that you can put them at, and you have specific tech that has to go in specific like places. You can't just put them anywhere. So you have limited spaces in order to do any of those. And then you have like these big point scoring ones that you kind of get a little bit later in the game, or maybe midway through the game as you're trying to just like snatch them before somebody else gets them ahead of you. We've only been playing this at 2 players, so I don't know. Like I would imagine we've been playing like the exact opposite factions. So I have the one that's the long game character, and then Sean's got the short game character. And the longer the game goes, the better I'm going to do. And then Sean has the ability, with this red. What was your character? The Cogent Industrial faction.
Yeah, they're industrial.
Yeah. So the thing about this is that we're ravaging all these resources from the planet until we just break it completely, and then the game ends. And so there's a little track it's this exploitation track that moves up.
You do certain things, or when you empty out all the resources and something, it moves that track up, and then it has an exploitation event. Which when I first got this game, I thought that those would be really bad. But they're
pretty good for the person that hits it. Yeah.
Whoever triggers it, you can either take $2 or you get like some like opportunity to do something else, and then the other person gets to move the dragon around and aggravate you, and move the market up and down and also aggravate you. So,
Right. Yeah. There's definitely a decent amount of player interaction in the sense that you like. Anytime I was moving the market, it was usually something to do in favor for me and something to do against Sean. And then you're kind of getting in each other's way a little bit. I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like at least in a 2-player game, there's not, at least with the way that we've been playing it, you could get in each other's way more and be a little more aggressive about that. But for the most part, I think we've been trying to just whole lot. Once you place a building down, then people can't really take over your area. You can still move through their areas, but we really haven't.
We never tended to.
Yeah, we haven't played a strategy of trying to just like navigate into somebody else's area, and maybe that would be something on future plays. That especially if we kept doing the same thing, we might try to change it up a little bit and try to kind of get in each other's way. But you're never fully constricting somebody because they can move through your pieces. You do have a tunnel network that you're dealing with, so you're having to kind of connect. Oh, that was the other thing that the other game that we were kind of thinking of that
Nucleum
was a little bit of it's like a little bit of all these games, so it's like it does have a little bit of a Nucleum feel in the sense that you're doing
sort of a route building thing.
Yeah, and somewhat not nearly as convoluted of actions as Nucleum has in it. Definitely more intuitive, but you do have a lot of things that are based off of a network that you're creating. So there's a lot of other games that also do a network, but that was one that kind of popped into our mind while we were thinking about it.
It's a really good mix of different mechanisms. It's enough to it's complicated. It's not your easy game, and it's not one that you're going to get done real fast either.
Oh yeah, that's another big point.
We've played 2 games, but we're in hour 11 or 12.
Yeah. This game says that it would go like an hour and a half to 3 hours. honestly, like the more we played it, not just from knowledge of the game, but knowledge of how our factions work, I keep thinking that Sean has that characters, the faction that he's using, is really set up to just blow the world up, grab everything, and make a low-scoring game that they finish a lot quicker and happen to have enough of the resources to still come ahead. Whereas mine's doing that long game.
But sometimes it's weird because you're always in conflict because if you just work a little harder and get some more stuff, you can get these upgrades that'll give you end of the game points. And I feel like if you don't get those and someone else is, then you're definitely getting set up to lose.
Yeah, It's I was saying this to Sean too, that I think that his faction that he's been using is not as intuitive. So we're doing this kind of first impressions video, but the other two factions are just manipulating a couple of the other sections of the. I mean, we more or less can understand what they're doing. They're just going a different route. One can run the science track up. One, I think, maybe gets their buildings out quicker, gets their technology quicker, so they can play in some different directions. But our two factions are just like diametrically opposed to each other as far as the strategy goes, and I would be interested to see how that plays on future plays. Like, I'd like to see this game end in an hour and a half and see what that does. Like, if Sean played this like really aggressive route. The thing is like if
we're 3 hours shorter than when we didn't know how to play it at all.
Right, that is true. Yeah.
The first one was really long, but I mean, even the setup, we're both like passing the book back and forth and going through, and it wasn't like I'm thankful that it wasn't really that hard to learn. No, it's just that scenarios would pop up, and then you're like, well, I can't remember exactly, and then we're really checking carefully the wording and things.
There's a couple little ambiguities in the rule and the rule set. Like I had one with so we have these tracks that you move up when you do upgrades. Basically, when you're doing science or whatever, you're going up these little tracks that give you little bonuses as you go, and they give you a little bit of points at the end. You also have like these little anomaly special whatever hex circles within hexes that we're exploring, and those will move up that track. And then they give you resources. It doesn't say where those resources are at, so I'm like back and forth with little things like that, little ambiguities with the way that the dragon moves. Most of it's the only one that I really am still questionable is about where those resources go from the bonuses from that track, because it just says you gain them, but there are specific areas that everything can hold stuff and where it goes. But otherwise, I think we pretty much were able to figure out. I don't think we left ambiguities with the rest of it.
Yeah, we had a couple of mistakes the first time around, and we had a couple of rules that we figured out by reading the upgrade tiles.
Yeah.
You read an upgrade tile that, like, when an upgrade allows you to do something and you were doing it anyway, it's like, oh, I guess you have to do that.
Yeah, you gotta.
I think it was build order for me was the.
So it was like that first game. I mean, we played for like, I don't know. I mean, we probably got together around close to 6, and then it was like 1:30 or 2 by the time we finished. But that was us sitting there, figuring out the game together, learning the game, and then also getting very like.
And I had fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was there's very few things where I'll play it that long and then want to go play it again a couple of days later. Very few things.
Yeah.
But this was good, and I felt like that second time, man. We just like the setup was.
Yeah.
Setup was.
Well, you already had this all set up.
I know, but I was able to set it up after playing it once, and that wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And then and playing it, we just got right in there and started playing.
Yeah, the second playthrough definitely a lot smoother. One of the hardest things I think, or like overwhelming things I think of as far as the rule set goes, is that there's a lot of little idiosyncrasies to get used to about your own faction that you have and how they play. And then also, like, you do kind of
continue to get augmented by these things too.
Yeah, you kind of have to be aware of this entire like tray of 4 16 different special augmentations that you can get, these little technologies. So it's a bunch of little things, and you don't really know how they play the first time. You know, that when you're first looking at the game, you're like, I don't know where that fits in or what. You play it the first time, and then you're like, oh, okay, I understand this, and then you can kind of remember it. I mean, by the third playthrough, we pretty much almost remember most of the tech that's out there. We might just have to look at the costs and things like that, but otherwise, you kind of know some stuff that you can get ready for. And then we did elect to play the same faction both times, and I think that helped a lot too, just like so that we didn't have to wear our brains out on the second playthrough of it.
Oh, big shout out to their player aids.
Yeah.
So each faction has a player aid, and it doesn't just spell out the extra stuff it can do. It actually has little strategies, like a gamble. If you want to gamble on a strategy, it's got some a risky strategy. It's got some early game stuff it suggests for you to do.
Yeah, like useful technologies.
It tells you which technologies maybe you should pick out that help you the most, and the resources. Right.
It reminds you of your strengths that you have, and then it just has a full-on like early game recommendation too to go through, so you kind of have an idea of like when you don't know what you're doing and what direction to go in, you just kind of follow that a little bit and then play off it as you will.
It's great for the first game, and it's so much more of a handhold than like Root or something like that, where you're just like the game you're playing is completely different. It's not like that. It's just a slight augmentation of the core rules. You break the rules a little bit, but another cool thing is it does it in different ways. Like it's in the cards. It's on your board, like the amount of buildings you can deploy, and even your special building and stuff like that. It does it in a couple of different places, so it's neat, and not too much, I don't think.
Yeah, I think they did really well. You know, I think overall the production's really nice. You've got unique structures. Everybody's got one miniature for their submarine. You've got a miniature for this like little not little, I guess it's a pretty big sea dragon that you're kind of interacting with and dealing with, that can give you negative and positive effects, and otherwise just kind of get in your way. You got these really cute like little carts, these little what do they call it? They call them crawlers. They're more or less like resource transportation vehicles, and they hold the cubes in them really nicely. Kind of has that a little bit of that Tiny Epic Pirates feel slightly, but with better, but with better resource. I don't know what you call those wooden. They're not meeples, but everything's a meeple. But it's
wooden cubes.
Yeah, they're like you've got all of the. It's not just cubes. There's one that's a cube. That's the generic slag resource. But then you've got like little kelp that look like kelp. You've got different kinds of ore that just look like lumps of stuff, but they're all individualized and very easy to distinguish from one another.
It's interesting too because you mine it and it comes out a raw material, and then you have to refine it.
Yeah.
To do anything else with it, like you can build your tunnels and your crawlers with the unrefined stuff, but to sell it and get upgrades and stuff, you have to refine it. So there's a whole processing element to it.
Yeah, it comes out as like this bigger, darker, dirtier colored little wooden bit, and then it comes with a more concise, refined, prettier, shiny, like brighter little wooden bit that signifies each of those ores. So I think they did that really well. This version that Sean got, I imagine we can only buy this from the crowdsource funding, correct? I don't think they're doing this at retail.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't see that. This is the same.
I can't remember precisely if that's true. Like if you could buy it off their website or something like that.
Yeah, the designer creator's name is Richard Keene, and I believe he's the same one. I believe he's the same one that did Dinogenics. I know there's some kind of a crossover bit with Dinogenics.
Oh yeah, it's the same. It's the same company.
Same company, same creator, and Dinogenics is another one that I think was only on crowdsource funding. But what I was starting to get at was that they also came with metal coins. Do they even have cardboard versions of these in your set?
Yes,
they did. Okay, so maybe there is a less deluxe version of it.
The coins was extra. It's even beyond. So, oh, okay, wait. So they had the regular version, which is most of this, and I think the deluxe included metal coins and the sleeves.
Okay.
And that Dinogenics crossover is a little expansion pack that has an extra dinosaur and a card to go with Dinogenics, and some different kinds of areas, like circle areas and cards and stuff.
Okay.
I haven't put them in because we were.
Well, yeah, we haven't got that far yet.
You want to throw a loop in it?
We haven't gotten in that deep.
We're still in the shallows.
Yeah, we haven't hit that bottom shelf yet. But yeah, the components are really not. I mean, they've got otherwise outside of the little carts and the little submarines. Carts are all the same. Submarines are all different. But otherwise, all of they have like little wooden screen printed versions of all the other bits.
They all look nice.
Very distinguishable. They have a nice
custom
presence
dice
on the board. The dice are nice. They're what you use to signify how much ore is left in the area. All of your resources are limited in here too, so that's kind of neat.
There's no luck in this.
Well, there's, I mean, like the.
Oh well, you are drawing things from a bag.
You're exploring, yeah. So when you explore, you're pulling out new tiles, but you do always get the option of like 2 tiles when you're going into a single section.
I'd say very little luck involved in the.
I would say for the most part, like I didn't really feel like I was just like, oh, I really need to get that one like exploration section found to be able to do what I need to do. There's always avenues to get what you need done. They do have like individual little wooden bits here for all of your special mega buildings that each of your factions has. But yeah, they all look nice. It's got a nice presence on the board. I enjoy that. And otherwise, they've got dual layered
everything,
yeah. Most things anyways. Yeah, pretty much everything. Yeah, pretty much everything is dual layered.
There's like a little scoreboard that didn't really make sense. Like maybe that's something that help you count out the final game or something.
There's a campaign involved with this too, right?
Yeah. Maybe.
So maybe the campaign there is only one section of inside game scoring points that I was seeing was going up these tracks that you get during research, and we didn't really feel like it was even worth keeping up with. We just counted them at the end. You don't spend your points at any point. You're not using those as a resource, so there's not.
Yeah, you can't trade them for anything.
Yeah, so we just added those up at the end. So we didn't even use that board, but that board's not recessed. Everything else is pretty much recessed except for your player aids. You don't need those recessed. But yeah, nice. And they've got little things like you pull stuff off, and like everything that's happened since oh god, what's that game that came out before Terra Mystica? It starts with a T. Something. Anyways, a lot of these recessed boards nowadays have like an icon underneath of them too that activates some ongoing effect. Usually with us, it's increasing our income that we have to use whenever we do a specific action, the extraction action.
So as you build buildings and stuff, the icons underneath it, they not only give you a short-term ability from building the buildings, either an ability or some kind of effect, like making your upkeep lower. But also you've got an ongoing ability. See, a lot of times when you take these actions, you get to do those actions a number of times based on how many icons. And a lot of times building these buildings is what opens up those icons.
Yeah. It's got, you can kind of see a lot of games again that this pulled from. I started to mention Terra Mystica, and it kind of does a little bit of that. The Terra Mystica had that thing where you would like build next to somebody and get a benefit, so it kind of promoted you a little bit to want to kind of have a little more interaction, kind of get in each other's way maybe. So there's some discounts for building next to each other. But otherwise, a lot of it's just asymmetrical, and it's nice though. It all works out really well and very clearly defined. I think it's a very well-made game overall.
I do too. I feel like a lot of thought went into this, and it was it's really compelling. It's the kind of thing that gets in your head and kind of sticks in there.
Oh, it did. Yeah, that first 8 hours. I was like sitting there dreaming about Palladium.
I guess it could be argued that if you spend like 8 or 9 hours doing
Yeah.
anything, you're going to be thinking about it that night.
But it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable
It
enough
was.
to get through that.
Sure,
that
we could have
process.
driven to West Virginia and back in the same amount of time, but that's fine.
But it would have maybe it would have cost you the same amount of this game.
Oh, that's the other thing. This game, for a game these days, wasn't that bad.
Yeah, and I wonder if that has something to do with why they're not. I don't know what the intricacies are of going to retail and the cost and the loss of profit that you get versus the gain. Because I'm surprised with how much effort must have gone into this game that it's not at retail. I'm almost for certain that this is going to be back out on a relaunch at some point. Dinogenics is coming out. It's probably coming out tomorrow or something. It's
I think it's coming out real soon.
Tomorrow or the day after. At the point of shooting this video, we're on like this. What's this? Like the 16th or something, 17th. Somewhere around there of September of 2024. And but I was actually kind of looking at possibly getting into Dinogenics this next go round, and I would assume they're going to come back out with this at some point. But I mean, it's been quite a few years since they sold Dinogenics, I believe, too. So it's like I don't know when this is going to come back out.
And that was kind of a sleeper one. That it's one of those that a lot of people don't know about. I got an opportunity to see it because a friend of mine has it in Chattanooga.
Oh, okay.
And he brought it all out. We didn't play it, but he was showing it to me, and it looked really neat and stuff.
Yeah, a little more of a serious Jurassic Park game versus the Jurassic World.
I think after I backed this, I went and looked at Dinogenics, like some reviews and
Dinosaur
stuff.
World is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Not Jurassic World, whatever. Jurassic Park.
It looks it's well liked, and it looks fun. I think it would be really cool. I don't know how much it relates to this or how similar it is.
No, I would imagine it's a very different style of game. But this is neat.
Good artwork where their artwork is.
Yeah.
The graphics look good. Real easy to read. Even these little small tiles and stuff. I appreciate that.
Yeah, nothing overdone. There's a decent amount of small text, but it's not like imposing. I didn't feel like that was an issue at any point. But yeah, I mean, I would say, as far as like my favorite things about the game are probably the asymmetrical factions. That's really neat. There's 4 of them total. This game goes up to 4 players, and then the one of the reasons why I love Eclipse so much is those texts that you get and the way that you can augment and really feel powerful really quick once you start grabbing some of those that can really change the way the game is. It limits a lot of the text. It puts all the text out all at once, and then it limits them when you're playing on smaller player counts too. So you there's a little bit of a race to some of those.
Well, there's a finite number, like the bottom row always has 1.
Right, and then the third row has 2 in a 3 or 4 player game, but in a 2-player game it only has 1 too. So and the bottom row is like the end game scoring points. That third row is some of the more powerful, really kind of game changing effects. And some of them like maybe faction depending on what's most important to you, but some of it might be one of those.
Or kind of your situation, like where you ended up in.
Yeah, or getting in somebody, you can get in somebody's way a little bit by taking something that benefits you, but maybe hurts them more.
What's interesting with those is it takes the initial asymmetry and just kind of skews it even further out. Because now you can do things I can't do, and vice versa. And so. And also, that's the trickiest part to remember. I'm like, even just thinking about that, I just remembered that I was supposed to get 2 coins every time that thing went up. So I should have had like 1 more point.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would have had buddies at some point when I needed it. But it's hard. It's kind of hard to remember these. But if you're used to this kind of game, I don't think it'll be a big deal. So Owen. Yeah. Who is this game for?
This game, who is it for? I would say it's for the kind of person that you like a heavy game, but you don't like this just like unendingly heavy game where there's some density to this, but it's not like it's digestible in the sense that like there's only so much to focus on all that heaviness. But anybody that likes like kind of these that RTS feel, I really felt like I had this. I don't know. It's not a city building game, but like this industrial. I mean, it's all about exploiting the land. I mean, if you talk about, lack of 4X with it not being exterminate, it's very big on the exploit of the X's. And you are
Capital
expanding.
X on that one.
You are certainly exploring. So if you like those kind of 4X kind of space games, and you're not so big on the battle, I think this would be right up your alley. Absolutely.
You can still be competitive and do stuff, but it's never so detrimental.
Yeah, it would be hard to. It would be really. It would take a lot of effort to fully. Like break somebody away from some of the board.
Yeah, I think
you have to put tunnels everywhere, and then you would kind of hurt you. It would waste a lot of your time. But maybe you could. That would maybe be a way to do it. But
so with 4 players, this goes up to 4 players, and with our player count, it limits a lot of the board. So a lot of the board isn't there, but it's not so much of the board that. Boy, if even 3 players, I think you'd really be like jumping over each other a lot more.
Yeah, it limits it on 3 players as well. Basically, we lose like.
Yeah, you could either lose the
10,
top or the bottom for 3 players.
We lose like 10 sections on a 2-player, and then on a 3-player you lose 5. So it's not. There's still plenty to go through, but it's neat. I like the ramp up that happens. I like how you feel. Like you start out really weak and you get pretty powerful real quick. Again, it's a lot of pick up and deliver, a lot of like asymmetrical technology improvements, but it's nowhere near as like convoluted of a pick up and deliver as what I felt like Sand was. And I did enjoy Sand. I'm not disparaging Sand, but I don't feel like that was as I don't know like. The concepts of the game aren't as mentally taxing. It's mostly just figuring out how to make yourself as powerful, as efficiently as possible, and then just how you're going to get some points. You got to figure out that.
This is not the game to pull out for your mom.
No.
Or anybody that doesn't play, semi-heavy Euro games. Even Scythe, I feel like, is a bit lighter than this.
Yeah, I would say, Scythe is lighter. But it's kind of similar, like when you first look at Scythe.
It's got that kind of 2-action thing.
If Scythe had a tech tree thing, or I mean, no, it's not, I keep calling it a tree. It's not a tree. It's just, if you had like techs, you sort of have techs in Scythe that are, but you kind of have your mech techs or whatever, but... other than you play the campaign, there's sort of a tech thing that goes on with that, but it's a lot more limited. But if this didn't have the text, one, it would kind of suck if it didn't have the text, but it would be a lot more comparable to the level of Scythe, I think.
I'd say this is a fairly difficult game, just because. It's just kind of a lot to internalize right at first. If you play games like we do, you're going to pick it up pretty quick. It's not that it's a hard game to learn or to play. It's not like something that should sit on your shelf because you don't feel like ingesting it all. In fact, once you play it through,
on the deep shelf.
The
deep. I don't know. There's a lot of stupid fun somewhere in here.
You manage to play this through once, I think you'll be kind of locked in. Twice, and you'll have it.
Yeah,
and then you can move on to let it sit there for a little while, marinate. But
our second game of this took us, what did we say, 4.5 hours? Is that what we said, somewhere around there? Yeah.
It was 3 hours less. It was 4 hours less than the first time.
Yeah, whatever. It like I want to play it again. I definitely do want to get it out again. I enjoy it. I feel like
but it is going to be your night. Probably.
Yeah, it's definitely your night. And, it kind of, something about it kind of, and it's like I feel like there's a lot of these little things that it makes me think of other games a little bit. But we really enjoyed, had a really good time playing Frostpunk. Frostpunk, is that it?
Yep.
Frostpunk. Okay,
Yep.
okay. I feel like there's a lot of Frost names, and I'm trying to make sure I say it right. But that's a really in depth 8-hour experience probably by the time you get through that, and it's best played with extra people just to manage the game. Not
There's a lot of mental exhaustion in that one.
So something about this kind of feels like when I'm gonna get into it, it's like, all right, I'm gonna have a real sit down playthrough. But it's not like playing Twilight Imperium. It's certainly more than Eclipse as far as that depth of like focus and length of the game. I mean, I don't know. I've played Eclipse with quite a few players before, and like I think we played it to the max count, and that was a long game. But it didn't ever feel like it was as in depth, as deep. It wasn't as deep as this deep depth game.
I think we're in over our head. We're in deep water now.
Yeah, something like that. But it was fun. I really enjoyed this game. This is somewhat of a. I mean, this really is a. I guess we'd have to say this is the first impressions. We only played a couple games of it. We know what this game's doing though. At this
There's
point.
a whole campaign that we haven't. I haven't even approached yet.
There's a lot more to dive into, but I really enjoyed it. If I had to rate it at the moment, I would give it an 8.5. If I was doing the rating thing, and it could go higher, could go lower. I could also see even just after Sean and I played the same faction twice. I kind of felt like, okay, I'm gonna sort of get in a lane with this. I know what tech I want. I know what direction I'm gonna kind of go in. If I can't get that, then I'm gonna have to maneuver, of course. But I could kind of see at least doing the same factions. It's gonna get a little samey. And there's only 4, so you could play around with all 4 of them and have quite a bit of fun. I mean, there's not very many games that even play enough to get through all of the different angles that you can get in. There's quite a bit to dive into for this game.
There's one more faction you could get. I don't know much about them and stuff, and I didn't purchase the.
Oh, there was an extra one.
There is one more.
Maybe they'll have it on the Dinogenics relaunch. Maybe
they got a few of them left. I'm waiting for them to let me know.
Yeah.
So I can buy them. Buy it.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a good game.
Yeah, I tend to agree. My only ding on it is that it kind of takes a long time. I don't know if that would continue. Like if you and I played this every Saturday, if we have it down to 2 hours, I can't imagine this game being less than 2 hours.
No, I honestly would expect a 4-hour game regularly out of this. Even once I knew most of how everything worked, I would kind of expect that.
Yeah, that's with the caveat that some of these other factions can like take care of business a little faster than these.
Yeah, and if Sean's playing that industrial faction and just pillaging all of these tiles,
cracking the planet,
shooting the exploitation track up to the wazoo really quickly, then I could imagine that would be the main way that this game's going to end quickly. And I wonder if by playing with 4 people or something like that it would actually make the game go faster.
Oh, I do wonder that too.
I wonder if it would, because
it just really comes down to AP at that point.
Yeah,
because you do get in positions where your brain struggles because you want to do an optimized move and you just can't.
Yeah,
like if you get stuck, if you don't do that 1-2 with your turns just right, you're going to get stuck and have to do a crappy move.
However, possibly that time that it takes to get back around to you'd have your turn figured out by the time I was doing. Because I was certainly planning my turns as Sean was going most of the time, unless I was too focused on what he was doing.
Well, it's pretty tough because I make pretty quick decisions.
Yeah.
I usually would have my 2 cards ready.
Yeah.
If I'm not like halfway done with my turn, but by the time you're putting your cards back,
I give Sean plenty of time to figure his turn out during my turn.
I appreciate that. So we like it. go buy one.
If you can. Yeah.
If you can. This is worth hunting down and picking up. I wouldn't pay. I've seen some eBay prices for this.
Yeah, there's always ridiculous prices out there
Kinda
for some of these limited games. I wouldn't overpay for it. I would not. I don't know. What do you remember? What you paid?
It's a $121 shipped.
Shipped, yeah. So you should be able to buy a game like this
With metal coins and extra sleeves. So you should
Yeah.
be able to get the base game of this. Should be. It was like $100 or so.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that you should have to pay more than $100 for this. Maybe extra, like you said, if you're getting the.
It was worth that though. Like there's so many games that I get that aren't really that great.
Yeah.
And I never play, or I don't play more than once or twice. I definitely want to keep this.
We played this twice in 3 days.
Yeah, and that's
rare.
That's rare, especially for one that's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It's because he wanted to play it so bad.
I did really wanted to play it.
If your friends want to play the game, that's another good reason to get it. Mm-hmm. because you will actually get it played. Yeah. Even if it's like super fast. Even if you're like skimming the rules and then you're like trying to play it. But it's a great game. If you get an opportunity to pick it up, don't hesitate. If it's at a price you're comfortable with, you're gonna have a good time. Yeah. You're gonna have a long good time, but it's a good time.
Yeah, yeah. And even if you find this. Honestly, if it's just like you can't get it anywhere and you find it for 150, I could see that even being reasonable. You know, especially if you're getting all this stuff with it.
The theme's nice. The components are nice. I don't have any real problem with like the manufacturing of it or the way even in my room in here with all the aquariums, the boards aren't warping up or anything. So
no, yeah, they did, whatever they do.
Seems like they're doing pretty good. They've been out for a couple of days, so
yeah, that's something to point out because that is an issue with a lot of these dual layer boards for some reason.
The way the components
curl as soon as you get them.
Yeah, the way the components box up, everything fits really nice back in the box, really well thought out. Take a look at my unboxing, reboxing video if you want to see more about the components and stuff. But I'm real impressed with it.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm glad you bought it, Sean. So I didn't have to.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
We've already got our money's worth out of it.
I sure did.
If it had been a movie, then
I got my gold doubloons out of this. Yeah.
Folks, I think we're going to wrap it up right there. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to see more reviews, we occasionally talk about things, and there's a whole playlist over there. Be sure to subscribe to our channels because we'd love to see you again. And until next time, enjoy your games. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.